Question of the Week from the Naked Scientists.
Hello and welcome to Question of the Week. Today we're answering this one from Mark.
Does a lack of oxygen in planes contribute to jet lag? And if it does, is it worse since the smoking ban which came in many years ago? And I also have a follow-up question. Do you get jet lag if you follow a time zone?
Thanks, Mark. In the literal sense, jet lag might refer, as Alan writes on our forum, to a loss of synchrony between the traveller's circadian rhythms and the habits of the people at his destination. In other words, when you travel across multiple time zones in a relatively short period of time, so the length of a flight, your body's internal clock, or circadian rhythm, might take a few days to adjust to your new bedtime. But some people's definition of jet lag might include other components. Here's Malcolm von Schantz, Professor of Chronobiology at Northumbria University.
So if I may answer your last question first, do you get jet lag after travelling within the same time zone, say from Amsterdam to Johannesburg? So the answer to that is you do not get jet lag in the formal sense because you haven't travelled across different time zones. So essentially it's night in Johannesburg at the same time as it's night in Amsterdam, and when you are tired, there is no body clock disruption that will prevent you from falling asleep. But then there are the general consequences of sitting in a metal tube at a high elevation, and most of them you can't do anything about, and they affect everybody. So aircrafts are pressurized, so they contain much more oxygen inside than there is outside of those elevations. Otherwise, we would not survive within the aircraft. But it's not possible to pressurize them at quite the same level as we experience at sea level. So there is less oxygen in the aircraft than there is on the ground. And the result of that is that our lungs have to work harder to keep our blood oxygenated. There are also other effects of that which are somewhat uncomfortable, such as it causes our stomach, our intestine to bloat up.
So less oxygen in the cabin doesn't make jet lag worse in the literal sense, but will increase the discomfort we feel after landing. What's more, the drier air you find in planes can also leave your skin dehydrated and cause irritation in your respiratory system.
And then there is another really interesting question which takes me way back. What about smoking in the cabin? And I'm old enough to remember that. And it was horrible on a long-haul flight as a non-smoker because, of course, the air was being recirculated and the smoke was everywhere. And that certainly will have made it worse because of the nicotine and carbon monoxide and God knows what that forms part of cigarette smoke, in addition to the lower oxygen level, was not a healthy or a pleasant combination. Another improvement with modern air travel is the new aircraft models, which are made of essentially of composite instead of metal. And that means that it's possible to operate those with a higher cabin pressure and also with higher humidity than earlier aircraft model.
So, Mark, you will suffer less jet lag if you take a flight with minimal disruption to your circadian rhythm. And thanks to the smoking ban and improvements to aircraft design, other adverse health effects of flying, induced partly by the lower levels of oxygen, have been mitigated. Thanks to Malcolm von Schantz for his help with the answer, and to you, Mark, for that lovely question. If you have any thoughts, why not join in on the forum discussion like Alan did over on nakedscientists.com/forum. Next time, we're answering this one from David. How much do the senses take up in brain capacity, and what sense occupies the largest part of the brain? I would guess it would be sight. Well, let's see, David, if that hunch proves correct. Be sure to drop us a line if you have a question of your own. We always love to hear from you. It's chris@thenakedscientists.com. Until next time, from me, James Titko, thanks for listening and goodbye.
Question of the Week is part of the Naked Scientists podcast. Look us up online at nakedscientists.com.